Hello everyone, welcome to the Open Doors Week at the University of Tartu. And my name is Anna Branec, and I'm a senior marketing specialist of the Office for International Cooperation and Protocol, and I'm honored to be your host during this event. So during these 4 exciting days, we are going to host 14 different info sessions dedicated to different programs and topics. We are going to introduce our international bachelor's and master's programs, admission process, and life in Estonia. Apart from the program presentations, we are also going to have student discussions where our students who are currently enrolled to our programs are going to share their experience and their study experience and life experience of living in Estonia. Also, we are going to show online campus tours of the University of Tartu, which is going to happen on Wednesday. So please check out our schedule and also join our online tours to also see how our buildings look alike. This is the best place to ask your questions. Whether you have already applied or you are considering University of Tartu as your future place to study, this is the best place to ask your questions. If you are watching us in Workshop, you can see that next to every info session that we are hosting during these 4 days, you have a Q&A button, which you can press and then leave your question. And then we will answer these questions online. If you can see that your question has already been asked, then you can just rate your question, and then we will see this question first on the list. And if you are watching us from Facebook or from YouTube, you can also leave your questions there. My colleagues are going to answer them in written form, or if you want your questions to be answered online, you can also join Workshop by the link which was sent previously to you. So this would be it from the introduction part. I hope you enjoy our event and this amazing week, which will be full of information that hopefully will be useful for you and for your future. And today we are going to start our first info session, which is going to be dedicated to medical sciences. And today with me, I have 2 speakers that are going to introduce 2 new programs. They just started their intake or admissions this year. So we have here Alastair Forbes, who is going to present clinical nutrition and who is joining us online all the way from the United States. And then here with me on the stage, I also have Jana Las, who is going to talk about clinical pharmacy. So the program is going to be as follows. At first, we are going to have a presentation in about clinical nutrition. Then Jana will talk about clinical pharmacy, and then we are going to open Q&A session. I would kindly ask you, if you have any questions, you can already start leaving them, so they appear the first during the Q&A session, and we can answer them. So I guess we can start with the first presentation, and I will give a floor to Alastair.
Thanks very much. Good morning to everyone, or as I've learned to say in Estonia, tere hommikust. Now, as you've heard, I am in the United States. That's only because I'm here on holiday, actually, because it's half term for the schools. And you'll excuse me if I look a bit red-eyed and tired, because it's actually 2:30 in the morning here. A little bit of background about myself. I'm a clinical gastroenterologist, but for the past 20 years or so, my main focus has been clinical nutrition. And that's been from the point of view of clinical practice with lots of patients with serious nutritional problems, but also a great deal of education, not least through the European Society's lifelong learning programme, and a lot of nutrition-related research. And we're trying to incorporate all those aspects of clinical practice, teaching, education and research into this new master's programme that I'm going to be telling you about. So if I could have the first slide now. And let's see if this clicker machine works. Yes. Now, probably by now most of you have worked out where Estonia is, right up in the northeastern corner of Europe, and Tartu itself is in the relatively southeast part of Estonia. It's a very, very good place to be. And I've been in Tartu now for 18 months, and I'm loving it. And I encourage those of you that are undecided from a geographical point of view, is it a good place to go? The answer is yes. And I'll give you a few pictures to support that as we go through. So the Masters, we are intending that this is going to be quite a demanding course. It's not going to be an easy option. It's going to be a serious program of hard work. But I think it's also going to be extremely rewarding. And I think actually it's going to be fun. It will be the only master's course in clinical nutrition anywhere in the European Union. I was responsible for setting up a similar course in the UK, but now with Brexit, the UK is no longer in the European Union. This will be the only one where there is a master's course devoted to clinical nutrition. There are others in basic science type nutrition, in nutrition for dietetic practice, but in terms of a clinical nutrition perspective for the whole spectrum of people interested in nutrition, this will be the only one in the European Union. So the structure is fairly straightforward. The first year is predominantly a taught course and consists of a combination of lectures, seminars, tutorials. Clearly, you will know the course is entirely in English, so there's no need to worry about having to learn Estonian, although I hope those that join the course that don't speak Estonian will actually be encouraged and enthused to want to learn. It's a very complicated but also very interesting language, and it's obviously helpful to be able to communicate in the local language with the people that you're interacting with. So that's the first year. It's a fairly conventional university style of taught course, but it will be very interactive, and there'll be plenty of opportunity for work by the students to be presented, to be discussed, and there will be a more or less daily a requirement almost for student participation. So we'll be asking questions. We'll be saying, why do you think that? And we'll be giving tasks for the following day, for the following week for people to work on. And that will consist of informal, multiple choice questions, short essays, a variety of things throughout the course. So there'll be a lot of in-course assessment. Then when we move to the second year, this is then really more innovative. The large part of the second year is devoted to the research project. That will be of the student's choice. We will give suggestions, we'll give recommendations, and we'll help people to decide exactly what to do. But we want it to be something that the student wants to do. So something that's likely to be relevant to their own career. And that can be done in Tartu, or it can be done somewhere else in Estonia, or it can be done in the student's own home environment. So if there's a particular topic that's relevant to them locally, then they can do that project locally in their own institution, or alternatively in another nutrition centre somewhere in the world. And as long as we've got an academic link of some sort with that other site, that will be absolutely fine. And that takes up about 2/3 of the second year. But there's also an internship, which is an opportunity for incorporating what you've learnt with the master's course into clinical practice that's relevant to you for what your clinical practice is. And we'll make sure that that's in a good centre. And again, that probably won't be in Tartu, that'll probably be in a nutrition centre somewhere else in Europe. And then there is the elective, which is exactly what it says. It's an opportunity for the student to do exactly what they want. The University of Tartu is actually quite keen that people use that as an opportunity of learning Estonian. So actually to do a specific Estonian course, and that's an option, but it can be anything you want. The course finishes off in terms of the teaching component by what we call breaking news. And that's a module similar in structure to the modules of the first year, in the sense it's got a mixture of lectures, seminars and tutorials. But that is completely focused on work that is brand new. And so there won't be anything in that breaking news session that is more than a year old. Absolute maximum a year old, and a lot of it will be newer than that. So it will be material from recent publications, recent conferences, seminars, and an opportunity to be absolutely up to date, and that will be quite an entertaining thing, not just for the students but also for the speakers. And at the end of all that, 120 credits. These are standard transferable European credits recognised by any European and pretty well any university around the world, and clearly absolutely full master's status from any organisation wanting to assess the students' qualities and calibre at the end. And as you will know, Tartu has an excellent reputation as one of the top world universities. This is the main historic central building of the university, which is in the city centre. And you see that, perhaps you probably can't see in the logo of the university, that the university is very, very long established, 1632. It's been going for a long, long time. It's very, very well established, one of the oldest universities in Europe. But it's also got modern stuff. This is Biomedicum, which is the main clinical sciences building, the basic sciences for medicine, where some of the course will take place. But we'll also use the university hospital. So this is the Clinicum. That's a mostly brand new 1,000-bed hospital on the outskirts of the city. And you get an idea of what it's like inside. That's the main atrium of the hospital. And much of the course will be based here in the hospital. So it's absolutely right up against where the patients are. So truly a clinical environment. As for the... We lost a slide there. No. Okay. So malnutrition. Why are we thinking about a course in clinical nutrition? Because malnutrition is so important. It is very, very common, and malnutrition adds to the severity of pretty well every form of disease. And that's true when we talk about undernutrition and loss of weight and being undernourished, but it's also true, of course, of overnutrition. And although the main focus of the course will be on undernutrition, it will also consider the difficulties of obesity and some of the effects that has on clinical practice. So we know that malnutrition in all its forms increases morbidity. People are more sick because of malnutrition. It increases mortality, and without any question, it increases the human and the financial costs of any form of illness. However, malnutrition is often missed. We know that around 30 to 35% of people admitted to hospital have malnutrition, but very, very often indeed that's missed. And it's missed because people are focusing on the other thing. The patients come in with a heart attack or bad pneumonia or something else. And the fact that they've got or developed malnutrition is not picked up, not thought about. That problem has largely been identified, and healthcare systems around the world are now trying to do something about this. But as they try to do something about it, they then realise that there aren't the professionals with knowledge and expertise in clinical nutrition to provide that help for the patients. So we've got a problem with malnutrition. It can be dealt with by the masters in clinical nutrition. This is an obvious solution, and it really is something that is being taken on board very seriously. This course is of great interest, not just to the university, but also to the hospital in Tartu, which is giving a lot of support. And you can see how it's important for healthcare organisations, institutions around the world. We've got a very strong local faculty, as well as myself. I'm the director of the course, but there are people from all disciplines within the hospital and a university environment of relevance to nutrition. We've got a panel of visiting international teachers, and we seem to have lost the little flags. We had little flags on that. It obviously hasn't come through on the upgraded slide, but a range of international teachers. These are people that I know personally. I know that they are very good teachers as well as decent people, and that's ranging from as far apart as France, Serbia, Denmark, even Great Britain, lots of places all around Europe who will be contributing. And when I say they're contributing, these international speakers will not come and give one lecture and then disappear again on the next plane. that we don't think is very useful. Each of them will spend at least 3 or 4 days in Tartu. They will give at least 3 or 4 lectures, but they will be contributing in a greater way than that. They will come, they'll sit in on the sessions, they will interact with the students in much the same way that our local teachers will. So they really will make a big contribution to the course in the course of the 2 years. And the other advantage of that is that each of them represents their own specialist nutrition centre in their various different cities. And there will therefore be an additional opportunity to get to know those people and opportunities for electives and internships in all of those countries. So, if you fancy going to Lisbon or to Athens or to London, that will be a possibility as well that will be aided by the way the course develops. So what about Tartu? Tartu is the principal university city of Estonia. It's where the only medical school is. And the city itself will be the European City of Culture in 2024. I think something like 20% of the population of Tartu at any one time is students. It's very much a student-orientated city, full of museums. It's the only city I know that's got 3 science museums and theatres, concert halls, but it's also a great place for living, and whether that's sports that you're interested in, plenty of restaurants, shops, bars. It's actually a really, really great place to live. And you might have noticed, I showed you the picture earlier of the main building of the Tartu University, and I said it's in the city centre. Now, you can see that same building in this picture, and yet there are all those green trees there. It is the city centre. That's Tomimägi, that's the hill behind the university. That is in the city centre. And everything is in walking distance. So that's the Raikoeplatz, that's the main town hall square, and you can see in the summer it's full of bars, people, sunshine, and in the winter, the same place, it's turned into a Christmas market and stalls and hot drinks and really, really nice time. And the other thing there's a nice skating rink. You can't quite see it in that picture, but immediately in front of the town hall for 3 months over the Christmas period, ice rink in the open air just outside the town hall. It's really good fun. And plenty of other things. There was a big international professional cycling championship in the city a few months ago. You can take part in rather curious historic student parades. I've absolutely no idea what this means, but there were 4 gangs. There were these pink ones, but there were also yellow ones and blue ones. Goodness only knows. It's some historic student tradition, but quite clearly everyone had a really good time. And everyone in Estonia learns to ski. So this is my little boys' school run. Everyone learns to ski, and of course you can learn to ski as well. And it's really good fun and very easy, and something that's quite normal. But there are also more ordinary things that happen everywhere. This is one of the bars just outside the city centre. There's a little restaurant area, little bars and family type restaurants just across the main road. And I rather like this bar as well, which is right on the river, and you can see again everyone's out in the sunshine.
Alistair, sorry, you have 1 minute left. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, that's okay. We've almost finished. This is the last slide. So the Masters in Clinical Nutrition, very much suitable for anyone with a health science background. We're interested in people from any discipline, anticipating that will be a combination of doctors, nurses, but also people with a scientific interest in nutrition. And I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to talk it through more, answer any questions there might be, and hopefully seeing you in Tartu. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for this amazing presentation. I would like to remind you that you can leave your questions, and I can see already that you started asking questions, so please leave them. Also, it's worth to mention that Alistair is a founder of the program, so this is a very good time to ask the questions if you're interested to apply to clinical nutrition program. And right now, I think we are going to move to another presentation, and I will give a floor to Jana, who is going to talk about clinical pharmacy.
Hello, everybody. Can you listen? So I don't see yet my slides, but I will start presenting who I am. So I'm a clinical pharmacist. I'm the first clinical pharmacist in Estonia. I graduated from the School of Northern Ireland, Queen's University Belfast. And since then, we have started the clinical pharmacy here in Estonia. And with our good colleagues, we established this program. And I'm the coordinator of this program, but also one of the teachers there. So here in this slide, you can see our everyday environment. I'm working as a consultant in intensive care department, and here are my colleagues and nurses from the department. And can you move? Oh, okay, I can move the slides myself. So thank you, Alster, for introducing Tartu and University of Tartu, but I'm not going to talk about our beautiful city because this program is a full online program. And you can visit Tartu only for the practice or internship. So we don't expect we don't see you here in Tartu probably. And the duration of this program is 3 semesters. It's shorter because we only want to give you 60 credit points because we expect everybody who are coming to study clinical pharmacy already to have finished pharmacy master's degree, having pharmacy master's degree. And the language is also here English. We are different compared to clinical nutrition program because we really need you to have a master's degree in pharmacy, because we are not going to teach the basic pharmacy subjects, and this one is really needed for you to study clinical pharmacy. And we also need quite high English language proficiency because we study in English. And we are really looking at your motivation letters because the clinical pharmacist needs to be really motivated to do their work, and therefore we are also having with you an entrance interview. So how we are studying? If the classical pharmacy is taught like also you have lectures, you have topics, but here we mainly study use a problem-based learning, which mimics the real life. So mainly we have different topics that we are going to cover, but you are going to have like a clinical case. And you have to solve the clinical case and find the clinical pharmacist role. Because there are quite in Europe also established roles for the doctors and for the nurses at the hospital and also at ambulatory level. But the pharmacists have kind of more traditional roles, and the role of clinical pharmacist is a bit different. So we really have to work in teams of other medical faculties, and therefore we really are strongly looking the rational and evidence-based pharmacotherapy to implement it into daily treatment. And for the first year, we have different clinical topics, and the studies are divided into study weeks. Usually the one topic is 1 to 3 weeks long. And here you have e-lectures. We are not going to waste our time for giving real-time lectures. They are recorded, and you can look at the lectures at the time which is suitable for you. And we use different methods of learning, like we have self-learning tests and this e-lectures and additional materials. And mainly during these lectures, you can gain the knowledge of these basic subjects and treatment regimens for specific diseases. And the second year is dedicated to a master's thesis, and also there is a clinical training. And we have, as I already told, over 20 different clinical topics like cardiology, pediatrics, but we are not going to teach you cardiology, but we are going to teach you to find the role of a clinical pharmacist inside the topic of cardiology. So additionally, we have elective modules for those who are interested, for example, we also have a topic of clinical nutrition or palliative care, which are not maybe these who you see every day. And the clinical cases are coming from real life because similarly to myself, all of our tutors are working, most of our tutors are working as a clinical pharmacist in real life. And you are therefore working mainly alone. You are studying alone during the week, but every week we have a webinar which is online, and we really expect everybody to participate. And the webinars are on Wednesday evenings, so you have time to study during the weekend before the webinar. And the webinars are places where you present your homework, your clinical cases, and also here you can discuss with tutors about the questions that are coming up regarding different topics. So this is the time we can be together. And usually for every topic we have two tutors to give a bit broader overview of the specific topic, and tutors are usually from different countries for all the topics. And in addition to this open online webinars, we have forums and we are interacting via internet. So we also have international program regarding the tutors, because in Estonia, the clinical pharmacy is quite newly established. And the other reason why we use international tutors is that really the clinical pharmacists who are teaching are the teacher practitioners. We are not so much involved with the universities, but we are all of us are more involved with inside the hospitals. So I'm also working at the Tartu University Hospital, and we have been looking the tutors who are also our good colleagues and friends from different countries. For example, our Icelandic colleague is giving is a tutor about clinical oncology, and our German tutor is working as a clinical pharmacist at the Hospital of Psychiatry. So they are really very specialized, and I think it's the only way to teach clinical pharmacists to teach what we are doing every day and incorporate science into it. And basically, these are the things that we are promoting, and very important thing is how to work multidisciplinary in clinical environment. So it's not very common to pharmacists to work in a team. We are a bit sometimes afraid of doctors, but that's we are really supporting our role in a medical team, and we are quite focused to support people from Eastern Europe, because the clinical pharmacy is not established here. So I was studying in UK in Queen's University of Belfast, and what I felt lacking most was the support how to establish the practices. So that's what we are doing here. We know that people come from countries or cities where clinical pharmacy is not really available, and also we focus a lot to make decisions as a pharmacist, because pharmacists usually don't make many medical decisions, but here we help you to start doing that. and also the communication. And what is also very, very important is we help you to develop a network of colleagues internationally who you can rely on your professional life later if you graduate. So we have Facebook groups and really good supporting system. So welcome to everybody and looking forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jana, for your wonderful presentation and for introducing your program. Jana is also one of the founders of the program, so it's a very nice opportunity to actually ask the questions from the founders of our new programs. And I guess we can move to our Q&A session right now and answer the questions that we have received in workshop. I also encourage you to still ask your questions. We still have half an hour or 25 minutes until the end of this info session, so you will have a wonderful chance to actually get the answers to your questions immediately online. So the first question that was asked is addressed to Jana. Hello, I want to ask about the need to have a master's degree or equivalent qualification in pharmacy as admission requirement. Because I have a bachelor's degree of doctor of pharmacy, which is clinically oriented, and we have additional 56 hours on the program, more than that of the pharmacy bachelor program, all of which are clinical oriented subjects, and I have more than 4 years of work experience in a clinical pharmacist. Will that be enough?
Yes, this is kind of difficult for us because the pharmacy education is really different in different countries, and some are like more close to United States, and in Asia we have a totally different systems. But basically for us the bachelor degree is not enough because we need some basic subjects to be taught at certain level. But we already are starting to a bit modify our admission requirements regarding the information we received from Asia. For example, it's going to be like 4-year studies or equivalent to master's degree. But please contact us directly so we can check your papers and give advice.
Yes, you can also see in workshop the name of the presenters, so you can also contact directly afterwards, or you can also contact our admission office by writing to admissions@.ut.e. So another question is about differences between opportunities in Tartu and Tallinn. So are there differences in terms of opportunities if we compare Tartu and with Tallinn? Alastair, since you were talking about Tallinn and opportunities in Tallinn, maybe you can take this question and comment on that.
Obviously, Tallinn is the capital of the country. It's bigger. But Tartu is very much a university city. And I draw the analogy when I'm talking to people in the UK. I say that Tartu is like Oxford or Cambridge. It's not big city London, but it is an academic environment that's very much student orientated. Everything's in walking distance. I really love being in Tartu. Everything I want to do, I can do on foot or on the free bicycles. Well, it's not quite free. It's €30 a year for a Tartu bike pass, and you can cycle anywhere in the city. So I cycle to and from the hospital campus, which is where the medical faculty building is. It's not the capital, but what are you looking for? There's plenty of sport, there's plenty of bars, there's plenty of people, and it's a really, really nice place. I suppose it's further from the airport, so if you're planning to fly somewhere once a week or something like that, that's a bit inconvenient. But for all practical purposes, I think it's a really, really good place to be. And that's not to say Tallinn isn't a good place, and Tallinn is a perfectly good place too. But in terms of a choice for a student base, I think Tartu is an absolutely excellent place to be. And as I say, I've been in Tartu now for 18 months, and I'm really very, very happy there.
Thank you very much for your answer. Let's move to the next question, and the next question is addressed to clinical pharmacy. So since the program is conducted online, should I come to Tartu for the sessions, or I don't need to come to Tartu at all?
Yeah, basically you don't need to come to Tartu because we are really expecting people from quite far. Like at the moment we have people from Singapore, for example, and only moment that you really need to be maybe outside your own home is that you need to have this clinical practice, which we are planning to organize. Like you can also do it in your own country. Then we have to find a tutor, and we have like a system how you go through the practice or internship. But you can visit Estonia, and we are really happy to also to help you to go to another country where you find your favorite tutor. For example, if you want to see how a psychiatrist working with a clinical pharmacist, then you can go to Germany. We can do that one.
Thank you.
And I should have said, I don't know, can you hear me? Yeah, I should have said as well that although the Clinical Nutrition Masters is designed as a course where people will be in Tartu, we're obviously very aware of the problems there have been with COVID. And all of the first year material could be done online. There's nothing in that we couldn't do online, and we could certainly run it as a hybrid course if the need arose. Our intention is that it's a course where we're physically with you in Tartu, but if things go otherwise that make that difficult or impossible. And I have to say, I was very pleased that you'd got a Ukrainian flag on the table. And I suppose we have to recognise, the reason for people not being able to travel easily in September might not be because of COVID, but might be because of something else horrible and serious. And again, we would be able to run a large part of the masters online if the need arose. It's not our intention, but we've designed it in such a way that it's possible should the need arise.
Thank you very much for answering these questions, and also for your flexibility as well, considering current situations with COVID and political situations. So the next question is also going to be addressed to, clinical nutrition program. So the question is, what kind of previous experience do I need to have in order to apply for clinical nutrition program?
Okay, so I didn't say very much about that. We're expecting that everyone will have a bachelor's degree in something healthcare related, and the majority of those people will have done something that is obviously linked to nutrition in some sort of way. A medical degree, of course, someone who's qualified as a nurse or a dietitian, or indeed a pharmacist, although perhaps not very many pharmacists, but also someone who's come from a more biologically based background, who's become interested in the nutritional aspects of biology. It might be someone whose interests stem from food science or from agriculture, who's got an interest that's drawn them towards human nutrition for one reason or another. So as an absolute requirement for a bachelor's degree, so we're expecting only graduates, that's for sure, but it's that plus an interest. And you heard before the importance of the motivational statement for pharmacy. That will also be important for us. We require a motivational statement and an interview. So everyone that applies that's eligible will have their motivational statement carefully scrutinised, and they'll have an online interview. So we'll look at that carefully together. And again, as with pharmacy, we're asking for quite a high standard of English. And I find it a bit of a challenge, the English aspect, because on the one hand, we want to be as inclusive as possible. We want to bring in people from countries that haven't had so much opportunity for nutrition training. But I've known from my own experiences, particularly in London, that someone who struggles with the language misses out on so much else. That they're spending all their time worrying about speaking English and not concentrating on the clinical nutrition. So we also are asking for the C1 standard with English language, and honestly, that's for the students' benefit. It's frustrating for everyone if the student is spending a lot of time worrying about their English. So we want them to be good at English, good enough to be able to communicate without that being the main focus of their anxieties, so they really concentrate on the clinical nutrition. So there are three requirements, really. A bachelor's degree, decent English, and wanting to do clinical nutrition. That's the main thing we're after.
Thank you very much for so detailed answer. The next question is addressed to clinical pharmacy. So can I combine work and study while studying clinical pharmacy at the same time?
Yes, you can, and that's why we have designed our how the course is built up is for those who need to work also during the weekends sometimes, and the webinar is like in European time after work. And before we started with the master's program, we have run this course. We're currently running it as just a clinical additional educational program. And at the beginning, our main worries were if people are managing to study this during the same time they are working. And the good news is that if people are motivated, they manage to do it. Of course, it's hard, but at least the program is only 1 year plus masters, so it's a hard year. But we have also conducted interviews with all of our students in the middle of the year, and everybody said it's so interesting that you can learn afterwards, and you can work, you can use the things you're learning during your everyday practice. So it means that it's not something very different that you do, so you can.
Thank you very much for your answer. The next question we have to Alastair. So the question is there an internship for clinical nutrition program? And if the university helps to find a place to conduct such an internship, if there is one?
Yes. Yes and yes. So there is an internship. I think it's 10 weeks, and that is intended to be very specifically relevant to the clinical and career needs of the student. So what is most relevant to that student, we will encourage, will certainly help people to find somewhere suitable if they haven't got somewhere already. And I think a lot of people will already have somewhere in mind in their own country, in their own institution. But if not, we'll certainly help. And as I said, our team of international lecturers will also help with that. So I've got contacts in just about every country in Europe in terms of finding clinical placements. And although perhaps not quite so readily accessible, I've got contacts around the rest of the world as well. And certainly the Far East, Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, South America, Brazil, Colombia, North America, both Canada and the United States. So there are lots and lots of places where we've got strong links. Africa is perhaps more of a challenge, but I think in that case we would make sure that anyone coming from Africa was found a suitable placement, either in Estonia or elsewhere in Europe.
Thank you very much. The next question we can also address to both programs, I guess. The question is it possible to have an exchange semester within the programs? So maybe, Jana, you can start first.
This exchange semester is a bit difficult because we have this online learning. So I think we don't have that one, I think. So we basically can we can help you to find internship and practice periods in other countries. But I think at the moment, I don't know how to answer that.
All right. Alastair, do you have an answer?
I'm also not quite sure. I'm not 100% sure what's being asked. Is this suggestion that someone would do part of their course in another university and would swap courses? Was that the intention, do you think?
I guess this is related to the Erasmus Plus, Erasmus exchange, or...
Well, obviously, all of our modules are ECTs, so in that sense, they are transferable. I don't know. I wouldn't encourage it because our course is designed as a complete course. But if, let's say, someone was particularly interested in a particular type of clinical nutrition, and they said, look, half the things in the first year are actually irrelevant to me, and I want to do more, I don't know, I suppose maybe a vet who is very interested in clinical nutrition, but not particularly interested in the things that apply to people, but finds quite a lot in our program that would be of interest, but also wants to do a lot of stuff that's specific to animals. I suppose we could customize it, work with our own veterinary school in Tartu and work out some modules that would be more suitable, that would allow. So we could do it. I mean, it's not been set up with that intention. But if there was someone with particular needs, or someone who was already closely engaged in an academic environment somewhere else that wanted to do courses that were impossible for us to offer. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I think that's one of those things where you'd need to look at it individually. But my approach would always be to be very flexible. And clearly it would have to comply with the university regulations. But they are ECTs, so they are transferable by their very nature. So yes, it's possible. It's not something we've particularly been thinking about. But if someone comes with a particular set of issues, this is important for me, I'd like to do your master's course, but that wouldn't work for me. Well, we could work on it, and we could sort it through with the admissions office, with the university regulations, and whichever other institution was providing the other material. So yeah, we could do that.
Thank you very much for your answer. As we could see, there is a lot of flexibility involved. So this is really great. The next question is addressed to clinical pharmacy. So how do courses look alike? Are your classes lecture-based or discussion-based?
Yeah, like I already shortly described, the structure is similar for all the topics, and it's divided into study weeks. The learning is divided into study weeks, and it starts with your own homework. So you can read materials, and we have electronic lectures which are recorded, and then you basically, like, every week you do the similar things which support your learning different activities. And basically the only time you need to be available and online is webinar, which is once weekly. And otherwise it's you can organize your time.
Thank you very much. We have another question which is addressed to clinical nutrition program. Can I work after graduation in Estonia if I don't speak Estonian?
The master's is not that sort of a professional qualification that it allows you to be something afterwards. It doesn't make you into a dietitian. So in the sense of a degree giving a professional qualification, no, it doesn't. Could you work in Estonia? Yes, of course you could. And Estonia is actually a very welcoming country in that regard. It's a country that's keen to have immigrants, and particularly people who are academic, scientifically orientated. So it's a welcoming environment from that point of view. Could you do it without speaking Estonian? Well, yeah, you can. I've been doing that myself. I'm trying very hard. I am learning Estonian. I've given a few lectures in Estonian now, but it's jolly hard. But I don't need to be able to speak Estonian to be able to do my job, because there are so many people. Most young people in Estonia speak very good English, and it's never a problem communicating. And occasionally you'll find someone that doesn't speak English, but instantly someone who does appears from around the corner. So if you speak English or Russian, being in Estonia without speaking Estonian is not a particularly big problem, and I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, as I say, I'm trying very hard myself. And I think, you should always try and speak the language where you are. But in order to function and in order to work, there are plenty of work environments. I know through talking to the parents of the other children in my boys' school, there are lots of Estonians who spend their entire working life working in English. One of his best friends has a German father, and he actually speaks extremely good Estonian, but his working life is not in Estonian, it's not in German, it's in English, because his company is a multinational company and he has people from all over. And that's also true in the healthcare setting. It's obviously more of a problem if whatever you do relates to patients, because you can expect other staff, other university people, they will speak English, they'll speak Russian, but you can't really expect the patients to speak another language. So if what you want to do is patient orientated, then I think Estonian becomes very important.
Thank you very much. Jana, what about your program?
Our program, I think if you are a pharmacist who has a degree that Estonia recognizes and you have a clinical pharmacist degree, then you are welcome. Again, about the language, it's again, if you work at the community pharmacy, you have to speak Estonian, and also at the hospital, probably you have to speak Estonian. If you talk with the patients, same probably what Professor Alastel said.
Thank you. The next question is again to you. What are the admission requirements for clinical pharmacy?
Yes, we have. You have to have the C1 level in English. You have to have a master's degree in pharmacy or equal level from another other country or from Estonia, and you have to write a motivation letter and have an interview with us, and that's all we have. And I must say that we are ready for very international students. At the moment, we have one student from Hong Kong, and it's really working well. The language is for us also the main question that has been asked, but again, the C1 is necessary to focus.
Thank you very much. I guess we have managed to answer all of the questions that we were asked. Thank you very much for being today with us. If you still have questions after this session, you are welcome to email directly to Jana or to Alastair, so they will help you with your questions. And don't forget about the admission deadline that is coming on the 15th of March. So if you would like to join the University of Tartu, and specifically these two new programs in clinical pharmacy and clinical nutrition, then please don't forget to apply, submit all of your documents. And if you have any questions, please also contact our admission office. Thank you very much for joining us today, and stay with us. We are going to continue with the next session soon.